Hey guys, BassGeek here, and today we're continuing our ledge bait breakdown series. Today we're going to talk about the Wobblehead. Alright guys, work is still not letting up on me. But I want to get out some content. I want to get out some how-tos, especially for this time of year, which kills me that I can't be out on the water because this is Christmas to me. I love the deep bite. You guys know this. If you've been with my channel for any period of time, you've seen the countless videos over the past few years that I've done going out and finding fish deep, finding them on the sonar, and going fishing for them. I love it. To me, it's the best time of the year. I love the offshore bite, or really, I like to call it just the deep bite. The deep bite, because you can be close to, a ledge can be right up against the bank. It can be a creek channel swing. You're still fishing the ledge, the edge of that creek channel. So, as is all things in bass fishing, everything's relevant. And you'll see that. You'll see me go up in some, one of my favorite lakes, Top Secret Lake P. I really key in on those hard channel swings, and that's where I find the bass, in those sort of creek arm areas. A lot of places where people kind of overlook those fish are in your major creek arms. Main lake doesn't always mean that all the bass are going to run all the way out to those main lake points and ledges. There might be some of them up in those major contributaries. So let's talk about why I love the Wobblehead. Now guys, a few years ago, there used to be a third professional angler series, and it wasn't the MLF. It was a series called the PAA, Professional Anglers Association. Well, several years ago, I don't know how long ago it was, they came to one of my home lakes. I call it Top Secret Lake C, or Cherokee. Now, you used to be able to find this on YouTube. I don't know if it's still out there, but Tommy Biffle ended up winning this. And one of the things that he won it on was throwing a biffle bug on a swing, or as I call it, a wobblehead. It's just what I've always called it. But a swing head or a wobblehead. Now, like I said, that's been, man, I mean, it could have been 10 years ago. I don't even know. It's 6-8 years ago at least. And that's kind of when I started learning about this technique and immediately fell in love with it. Now, I know, guys, the one thing about the wobblehead, I know when I'm learning a new technique, I like to go out and I like to buy, an array of sizes. This is how I learn new techniques. So I'll go out and I'll buy everything from, the smallest, and I'll go incremental, like, 3/16 a quarter, 3/8 a half ounce, 3/4 a 1 ounce, and maybe a 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/8. But generally that's what I do. I go out and I buy this. The one bad thing about a swing head that has always kind of drove me crazy is that the hook is not interchangeable. And that means really I have to narrow down the weights and look for those hooks. And a lot of times what you're going to find is they'll have a 3/0, a 4/0, or a 5/0 in them. There might be some that are bigger and some that are smaller, but those are generalizations. And a lot of times, I find that to be a compromise for the size bait that I'm using. And it drives me nuts. When you don't have confidence in the bait, and guys, you'll know I hate the whole term confidence in a bait, but it really can hurt the way you go out and how much you spend, how much time you spend fishing that particular bait in order to figure out the when, where, and why it works. What I discovered just a couple of years ago that was almost a freeing experience was this. You know, when you're carrying a bunch of different size wobble heads, weights, when you're carrying a bunch of different size wobble heads or swing heads, hook sizes, man, it takes up a lot of room. It's a lot of weight in your boat. I don't know if you can see this, and I don't want to dump this out. This is where I keep every single wobble head I have. Every head, right there. But I mean, literally, this is all I carry. And you've got a quarter, 3/8, half ounce, 3/4 ounce, and a 1 ounce. So my favorite head, and about the only head I use now, is the Strike King, the swing football head. The tungsten swing football head. Now, I'm not sponsored by Strike King, but here's what I love. You got the line tie, and you've got a very stout wire that you thread your hook up on. And I'll show you that in just a second. But this literally takes the handcuffs off. Guys, now I can use any and every single hook in this box. I can do whatever I want. And when I tell you that I can do whatever I want, one of the things I want you to know, and one of the things I want to implore you to do, you know, there's a lot of people out there that snicker and laugh, and they're like, oh, you know, they ain't doing it right, or that ain't how you do it. Guys, think outside the box, because those guys that are thinking outside the box, they're getting bites that those in the box guys, they're getting bites that those guys aren't. When you find something new that those fish haven't seen out on those ledges, you're going to know it. You know, that's what I always say. The only person, the only thing that can tell you if you're fishing something correctly or at the right time are the bass. You don't listen to anybody else. What I'm giving you is starting points. And from there, I want you to experiment, learn, and grow as an angler on your own. Now come back and share some of your success with us. Help teach us, of course. But like I said, this little thing, to me, took the handcuffs off the wobble head. I could wacky rig a bait, and I have, and it works well. I can put, you know, 4/0, 6/0, 8/0. I can put long, you know, mag worms on it, and it works well. Trust me on this. 6, 7-inch straight tail Cinco style baits, you wouldn't believe. The big, thick, heavy ones. Trust me, there ain't a lot of people showing them that. Guys, I put skirts on these things. I mean, you name it, you can do it with this. And that's what I like about it. It's so diverse. That head is so diverse, it's incredible. But right now, I'm going to show you literally how to rig it up. So to get it on, you want to make sure they have both the hook and the head in the upward position. There's your line tie, there's your little curly tail, and all you're going to do, forgive me, it's hard to judge, you just put it on there and you twist that hook. Okay, twist it, and you'll hear it pop, you'll hear it pop again. There you have it. It is literally that easy. You want to get it off, you just bring it back up and over, and you just make it nice and flat, and there it comes. Put it back on, bring it over, pops in place. There you have it. That sucker ain't coming off. Now let's talk about my favorite baits that I throw on this. Guys, I have put everything from straight tail worms to swim baits. I'm telling you, swim baits, don't pass up the Recon Kitech, the rib style baits, or even your bigger Patriot minnows, you know, your bigger swim baits, your 5-6 inch swim baits. You'll be really surprised at what you find with those, because I mean, you've got a whole other action that you're getting that you're not getting from any other head on the market. Now, all that being said, what are my favorite baits? What are my go-to baits? My go-to baits, it's actually pretty simple. You know, big craws like, you know, Bass Munitions Mach 1, like the Rage Crawl. The Vile Crawl is a great one just because it's got so much bulk to it. It is a great one to put on there. Probably my go-to bait is the Bass Munitions Grunt. Now, originally I was using the Rage Bug, the Structure Bug, but you all know how the point comes out and you can really tear that nose easy. Well, the great thing about the Grunt from Bass Munitions is that nose, that tip, especially when you're dragging it through this cover. When you're dragging it through this cover, it's not going to tear that bait off the hook. You know, it's got a good, solid, you know, meaty nose to it, which helps, you know, keep this bait on your hook a lot longer. You know, the Rodent or the Moab by Bass Munitions, the Rodent by Strike King, that's another one that I like. It's a little more subtle, a little more do nothing, you know, not as much flop to it. And as the summer gets hotter, or as those fish get pressured more, you know, that subtle bait really begins to play. Let's talk about bait colors. Guys, generally, I'm going to keep it real simple. Green pumpkin, you know, anything like maybe a red bug, summer crawl, watermelon red, green pumpkin orange. I just really going to keep it very simple in the colors, you know, to start out with. There's a lot of different colors you can throw and experiment with that. Rod, reel, and line. Guys, 90% of the time, let me get this. This is a TRC cover. Of course, you know, I work with TRC, and well, I'm trying not to throw it in the floor here. And it goes in the floor anyway. It's like a snake, I'm telling you. The thing just goes where it wants to go. But guys, anytime I'm ledge fishing, I'm going to want the longest rod possible. This is a 7.3. This is a medium heavy. Now, I will tell you, most of the time when I'm throwing 3/4 to an ounce, I'm going to go with a heavy rod. Now, I want it to have a good tip on it, though. I want to be able to feel that bait, especially down in that deep water. But most of the time, I'm going to go with a 7.3. You can get away with 7. Guys, I'd even recommend a 7.6, a 7.8, you know, a 7.11. When you're fishing out on those ledges, you want to make a long cast and really cover that ledge, cover that water, come through that school. Now, for me, probably my go-to ledge reel is going to be the Lew's, and it's going to be 6.3-1. You'll notice anytime I am throwing a bait out, now you can, a lot of people are going to use a 7-speed on this. Me, I want a 6.3. And I'm going to tell you why. It goes back to the same reason I'm going to use that 6. This is a 6.5. I'm going to use that 6.5 to a 6.1. And it's because I'm reeling this bait. If I'm moving a bait constantly, if I'm moving a bait with the reel, I want that slower speed. Now, a lot of you guys can get away with, you know, that 7-speed and just slow yourself down. I'm a cranker, man. My speed is on high naturally, and so I need a reel to slow me down. Let's say with a 3/4 down, you can get away with a good medium heavy, but I'm going to recommend 3/4 up. You're going to use a heavy fast action. All right, medium heavy, fast action, 3/4 down, 3/4 up, heavy fast action. All right, 6.3-1 reel. Again, this is my BB1 Pro. This is my ledge reel, guys. I'm telling you, just about everything I do on the ledges, I do with the BB1. It just casts a mile. Now, the line, 15-pound fluoro. Again, you can use braid, but this is a horizontal presentation. It's a presentation that, for me, this line is going to go out there, it's going to sink, it's going to come by those fish for a long period of time before the bait ever gets there. So I want the most invisible line I can get. I don't want them sitting there going, what is that spaghetti noodle coming through? And what's that? I don't know. I ain't touching that. That's weird. You know, I mean, I know I'm giving the fish a little too much credit, and I know they don't speak. But anyway, so to me, 15-pound fluoro, you can go all the way up to 20-pound, especially if it's in shell beds. You're probably going to want to raise that up to about a 20-pound fluoro. All right, let's talk about retrieves. Now, there's 3 retrieves that I'm going to use out there on the ledge. The most common one is I'm going to throw it out there, and I'm just going to reel it back, ticking everything that it can tick. Just a nice, slow roll. That is probably my go-to. Second is a stop and go. And I don't generally stop it just for no reason. As I'm reeling it along and I feel myself hit a piece of cover or come up to a piece of cover, that's when I'm going to stop it. I'm going to pop it through that piece of cover. Once it kind of comes free, I'm going to stop it again. So that's generally how I'm going to do a stop and go. Now the other thing, if you remember, I told you there's 2 reasons why you upsize weight. And this is why I'm looking for anyone that does this style of head in a 1 1/4 ounce, 1 3/8 ounce at least, is kind of a burner. You know, I want to throw it out there, and you're going to need a heavier weight to reel it a little bit faster and really get it to just churn up that bottom. Come through there quick. So kind of a burner crawl. You know, you throw it out there, you're reeling it at a little quicker clip. But that's the 3rd style of presentation that I like. Now, guys, I want to throw in some stuff, especially for you bank anglers. This is an amazing search bait. Get out there. Yeah, now you're probably going to want to throw on a 1/4 or a 3/8 ounce head. But get out there, throw this thing, and just reel it back to you. Keeping bottom contact. The other thing, when you're throwing it out there, don't stop for long. You know, the weight, if you're getting hung up a lot with it, downsize your weight. Okay? You're throwing too heavy a weight for coming uphill. Make cast a little more parallel to the bank. Not so much straight out there. If you make it straight out there, keep your rod tip high and pop it across that cover as you come up on it. But guys, this is a great search bait. It's one of the reasons that, for me, I throw this. This is almost taking the place, when it comes to ledges, it's almost taking the place of the Carolina rig completely for me. Then it's really beginning to take the place at certain times for a jig, just because I want to cover water with it. Now, I still throw a football head jig. I love a football head jig. But when I need something to fish a little faster, this is what I'm going with. It's a little more erratic, and it's going to get a lot more of those active fish bites, what I call the tattletale fish. When I'm searching for fish, I throw a bait out there at first. I want something active like my swim bait, like a crankbait, or like a wobblehead, and I want them to tell me they're there, they're bass, and they're biting. All right, guys, so tell me what you think about this. This is quickly becoming, over the past few years, especially since I've discovered these Strike King tungsten that are so versatile, it's probably one of the most versatile baits in my box now for ledge fishing. So tell me what you think about it in the comment section. Tell me if you've used wobbleheads. Tell me what some of your favorite baits, some of your favorite stuff. Give us some tips. Share your experience with wobbleheads and let us know. Help teach me something. I'm all for that. But as always, questions and comments in the comment section below. You know I love to talk about fishing with you, and you know I love to talk about ledge fishing. I love doing it more, and I really wish I was doing it, and it's really killing me right now. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, if you remember, I told you guys that we are getting ready to build a house, so all this that you see around me is just a few short weeks from being torn down. And so there's just a lot going on in my everyday life. So that's why we're here in the dungeon today. Anyway, don't mean to get off on all that crap. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And you guys, we are at 21.5. Make sure you share out BassGeek. Let's grow this channel. There's a lot of things I'd like to do in the future that involve this channel and involve you guys. And I can only do it with you guys. Like I always say, there's nothing special about me but you. I wouldn't have any of this opportunity if it wasn't for you guys, watching every week. So I appreciate you more than I can ever say. Anyway, that's a long way of saying you guys rock.